this video, we're going to talk about how to turn your homework into an exam review. When students begin preparing for an exam, they often think they need a brand new study guide, a large packet of practice questions, or a new set of online problems. Those resources can be helpful, but you may already have one of your best study tools, your homework. Your homework contains examples of the topics you have studied, the types of problems your instructor has assigned, and the skills you have been expected to practice. It also contains information that is specific to you. It can show you which problems you completed successfully, which problems took a long time, which problems you skipped, which mistakes you made, which topics you require help, and which skills you may have forgotten. This makes your homework a valuable starting point for personalized exam review. However, simply looking through old homework is not enough. You need to use it actively. Let's go through the process step by step. The first step is to collect the homework that covers the exam material. This might include online assignments, worksheets, textbook problems, written homework, practice activities, discussion problems, or in-class exercises. Do not worry if some of your homework is incomplete or contains mistakes. That does not make it useless. In fact, the problems you found difficult may be some of the most useful ones to review. Once you have collected the assignments, start organizing them by topic. For example, you might create some groups such as fractions, equations, graphing, polynomials, geometry, statistics, word problems. If your course is organized by chapters or modules, you can use those categories instead. The goal is to see the range of material clearly. Next, choose representative problems. You do not need to redo every homework problem. That would take a great deal of time, and many of the problems may be very similar. Instead, select problems that represent the main skills you may need on the exam. For each topic, try to choose one basic problem, one typical problem, one more challenging problem, and one problem you previously missed or found confusing. For example, if the topic is solving equations, you might choose a one-step equation, an equation requiring distribution, an equation with variables on both sides, a word problem that requires writing an equation. This gives you a more complete review than repeating several nearly identical problems. Try to include different forms of the same idea. Suppose you're reviewing slope. Your homework may include finding slope from a graph, finding slope from 2 points, finding slope from a table, interpreting slope in a real-world situation. These are all connected, but each requires slightly different thinking. An exam may ask you to use a familiar idea in a different form, so your review should include some variety. The next step is very important. Redo the problems on a blank sheet of paper without looking at your original work. Do not simply read the problem and then look at the steps you completed before. Cover the solution or place the original assignment out of sight. Then solve the problem as though it were on the exam. This helps you find out what you can do independently. While you work, notice what happens. Do you know how to begin? Can you remember the formula or procedure? Do you understand why the steps work? Do you make the same mistake again? Do you need to look at an example? Your goal is not to prove that you remember everything. Your goal is to discover what needs more attention before the exam. After you complete the problem, check your work. You may use your original answer, an answer key that was provided, any feedback you may have received from your instructor, a textbook solution, a tutor or instructor. But do not check only the final answer. Compare the process. Ask, did I use the correct method? Where did my work begin to differ from the correct solution? Did I make an arithmetic mistake? Did I misunderstand the concept? Did I forget a rule? Did I copy something incorrectly? Could I explain the mistake in my own words? This type of checking turns an old homework problem into a learning opportunity. Now, let's focus on missed problems. A missed homework problem can be especially valuable because it shows you where your thinking broke down. Start by solving the problem again without looking at the correction. You may discover that you can solve it now. That is a sign of progress. If you miss it again, identify the exact point where the difficulty begins. For example, I distributed to the first term but not the second. I used the wrong sign when subtracting a negative number. I found the area when the question asked for perimeter. I did not use a common denominator. I calculated the slope correctly but did not interpret it in context. The more specific you are, the more useful the mistake becomes. Avoid writing only, I did it wrong or I do not understand. Instead, complete this sentence. The mistake happened when I. Then complete this sentence. Next time, I will. For example, the mistake happened when I multiplied the exponents instead of adding them. Next time, I will write the exponent rule beside the problem before simplifying. This helps you turn feedback into a strategy. You can also create an error log. An error log is a short list of common mistakes you want to avoid. It might include reminders such as distribute to every term, check negative signs, use the same operation on both sides, include units, answer the question being asked, simplify the final answer, check whether the result is reasonable. Review this list before the exam. It can help you catch mistakes that are not caused by a lack of understanding, but by habits, rushing, or missed details. Another powerful strategy is to change the homework problem slightly. After solving a problem correctly, create a new version. You might change the numbers, change a positive number to a negative number, change the variable, reverse what is known and unknown, add another step. Turn a direct problem into a word problem. For example, suppose your homework asks you to solve the equation 3x plus 5 is equal to 20. You could create another problem, such as 4x minus 7 is equal to 21. Or make it a little more complicated. 5 plus 2x is equal to 3x minus 8. Or you could write a short situation that leads to an equation. Changing a problem helps you determine whether you understand the method or only remember the original answer. You can also remove information from a completed example. Suppose your homework includes a full solution. Cover part of the work and try to fill in the missing steps. Ask what should happen next. Why is that step valid? What mistake might a student make here? This is a useful strategy when you do not have many extra practice problems. Now, let's use your homework to create a short practice exam. Choose a small number of problems from several topics. For example, select a total of 8 to 10 problems. Try to include several major skills, different levels of difficulty, at least one word problem, at least one problem you previously missed, at least one problem that requires multiple steps. Rewrite or print the problems without the answers. Then put away your notes and complete the set under exam-like conditions. You might give yourself 30 or 40 minutes. Afterward, check your work and sort the problems into 3 categories. Competent, almost there, and needs more review. Spend your next study session on the almost there and needs more review categories. This is much more useful than repeatedly practicing only the problems you already know how to do. Be careful not to copy homework answers from memory. Sometimes you may remember that the answer to a problem was 12, even if you no longer understand the process. That's why changing the numbers or choosing similar problems is helpful. You want to practice the skill, not memorize a result. Online homework can also be turned into an exam review. Look for features such as review assignment, try another version, similar exercise, practice mode, or question history. Also, pay attention to incorrect answers and completed assignments. If the system allows multiple attempts, choose new versions of problems you previously missed. Work them on paper instead of trying to complete every step mentally. Writing your steps can help you identify where mistakes occur. Remember that your homework is not a perfect prediction of the exam. An exam question may combine skills, use different numbers, or present a familiar idea in a new context. That is why you should not simply memorize homework problems. As you review, ask yourself, why does this method work? How would I recognize this type of problem? What would change while the main idea stays the same? How would this skill appear in the real world? How can I check the answer? Those questions help you prepare for flexible thinking. Here is your action step. Choose one recent homework assignment. Select 4 problems. One you answered correctly, one that took a long time, one that you answered incorrectly, and one that represents an important course skill. Redo all 4 on a blank paper without looking at your original work. Then check your answers. For each problem, write one sentence, such as, I am confident because, or I need more practice with. This will give you a clear picture of what to study next. Remember, homework is not finished simply because it has been submitted. It can become a powerful review tool. Choose representative problems. Work them again independently. Study your mistakes. Create new versions. Combine problems into a short practice set. You've already done a great deal of work during the course. You can use that work to prepare more efficiently. You are not starting from nothing. You are building on what you have already learned. You've got this.